Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, but not super different. I went to the comic book store and I got a bunch of comics, and some I'm going to review and some I'm not. And I just kind of wanted to show you guys what's coming in the future, and also maybe some of the stuff that I might be putting up for sale. I'm going to start doing a whatnot thing. And anybody out there who buys on Whatnot, maybe you could clue me in on some of the things that you like and some of the things you don't like. But I'm going to tip my toe into it, and I'm trying to create a community using Whatnot for selling original art, not just for me, but for other indie comics artists. And hopefully that becomes a thing, because that would be a fantastic thing, I think. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own art. And this is Random Access. It's a full-size, full-color comic book that I produce every month for my patrons. And you can get these at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin. And this is the newest, this is last month's issue, actually. This month is going to be a little bit late because I've run out of ink and paper and stuff. But as soon as I get all that stuff ready, I'm going to have it out probably within the week, so I won't be super late. But you can get these, like I said, at Patreon for $3 a month. Or you can go to my website, alexanderturbin.com, and check all that stuff out there. Or you can contact me at alexturbin0441 at Yahoo, or alexturbin0441 at Instagram, and or pretty soon, hopefully, Whatnot. I'm not entirely sure what that's going to be called. Hopefully it'll be called Alex Turbin something or other. But let's check out some of the comics that I just got at the comic book store. And these are all dollar comic books. And like I said, some of them I'm gonna review, some are not. As all of you know, I love Aircell and Eternity and Malibu and all that stuff. So whenever I find an Adventurers or an Elf Lord or anything like that, I scoop it up and I'm eventually going to review it. So this is Adventurers number 4, and I'm going to someday look at that. But the very last one is going to be the book that I'm going to be reviewing today. The Black Dragon, which I can't remember if I've read that. I feel like I did get the trade paperback at some point, and because it's Chris Claremont and John Bolton, how can you go wrong? I know they did Murata the She-Wolf, and I don't know if that's tied into it. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research on that. And let me know if any of these you would like me to review. Like, I'm going to do these Black Dragons. Hopefully I'm going to get 1 through 3, because I have 4 and 5, and I don't know how many. It's a 6 issue, so I'm going to have to get 6 too. So we'll check that out. Beowulf Dragon Slayer, that looks really cool. I don't know who does the art or the writing or anything, but it looks kind of cool for an older DC thing. That's number 3. Battlestar Galactica, I got this primarily for Walter Simonson's art, but apparently he does the writing too. I'm not sure, but I'm going to have to figure out how far in the run he does his art and his everything. I believe I have Battlestar Galactica number 1 too, which I am going to go over. Earth Lore number 1. This is an Eternity comic, and it's early 1986 stuff, and this looks really awesome. The artist is Russ Stevens, and I guess he goes on to ink for Marvel. I don't know how many books he inks, but this looks fantastic. I can't wait to look at this. Escape City or Escape Velocity. I don't know. I guess it's the name of the comic is also the name of the company. And I really like this cover, but it's a little fuzzy. I wish they had a little bit more detail to it, I guess. But this looks really fun. It's like a 50s homage kind of thing, and there's multiple stories in it, so it's an anthology. This I'm really kind of looking forward to doing. It's a battle book, Colossus, and I think there were 4 of them. I've never heard of this, and it's not even really a comic book. It's a game. It's a game comic book, but I need to get another copy so I can connive somebody into playing a game, figuring out what to do and everything. but this looks really cool. If anybody has tried this game slash comic book, let me know. It does actually have the cards in it, and if I ever get another one, I'm gonna have to really make sure that the card is with it, and but I'm going to rip out the card and play it. So that's going to ruin any kind of collectability with it. Grant Morrison, Batman. I'm always going to grab anything Grant Morrison that I find. And it's a #1. And Batman Incorporated. And this is not #1. This is #8. I can't remember if I have it. But I was just seeing some Batman stuff. Like I said, I'm going to be starting a Whatnot channel, and I was just finding some filler stuff. Maybe it could be a giveaway. Maybe it could be something like that. But also, I got Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, and this is another Chris Claremont, and it's basically takes over from Wolverine and Kitty Pryde from the 80s book. I need to get that trade paperback because I never read the Kitty Pryde Wolverine originally, or Wolverine and Kitty Pryde. I don't know why. I have no excuse. It's stupid. Why have I not read Wolverine and Kitty Pryde? I think it was a 4-issue series, but I'm going to go back, find it, read it, so I can actually delve into this Wolverine and Kitty Pryde. I've always wanted to check out Radioactive Black Belt Hamsters, and I finally found one. This is book 2, and there was a 3D version of this that I didn't get, but I think I might go back and get it. There are also a bunch of Conans that were not in great condition, but they're in a dollar bin, so why not get it? Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. I love the TV show. I don't know how this goes with the TV show, if at all, but we will check it out. Garth Ennis. I'm going to get anything that has Garth Ennis in it, and this is Caliban. I don't know anything about this. It's just Garth Ennis, and I love Garth Ennis. Chuck Norris. I love Chuck Norris. Who doesn't love Chuck Norris? He doesn't align with me politically, but who cares if that is a thing, because I still love Chuck Norris. I love the somebody asked him if he had heard all of the different stories and different things about Chuck Norris, like when Chuck Norris goes into the river gets chucked, and he doesn't get wet, the river gets chucked. And I love that kind of stuff. And I love his response. He said, yeah, some of those aren't true. I love that. The Claw, I don't know if this is #1. I kind of think it is, but I have no idea what this is. The Sword and the Silent Scream. Oh, it is. First DC issue. I'm going to check that out. I'm going to get Sword and Sorcery stuff anytime, any chance I get. Conan the Barbarian movie special. This one I got thinking about Joe. He loves movie adaptations, and maybe he and I can go over this. I wonder if he has a copy of this, because I know he has a lot of movie adaptations, and we could check this out. I've never read Crisis in Infinite Earths. I've seen the movie on Max, and I didn't love it, but it's got George Perez, Marv Wolfman writing, and it's like, why not? It's for $1, why not? And it looks really in really good condition too. DC Marvel Access, like I said, some of these I'm just gonna sell. I sold one of these a few months ago or whatever, and I got like $10 for it, so it might be a giveaway, or I might sell it, or whatever. And today we're going to go over the Adventurers. I know that I'm starting actually getting into the book and getting into the review a little bit late, but I thought that you guys might enjoy that little taste of the comic book adventures, the comic book store adventures. And who doesn't love a what do you call it? I don't even know what you call it. Going to the comic book store and grabbing what you got. So this is the Adventurers #2. I've never read #1. Actually, I don't think I've ever read any Adventurers. I have the Warrior, which I still am going to. It's like an anthology, or it had a backup or whatever. So I reviewed the first part, and then I was going to review the second part, and go from there. but it's a spin-off from the Adventurers, and the Adventurers is one of those books that I've always wanted to read. All of the covers, they're kind of like Warlock 5, the covers, although Warlock 5, the interiors are so spectacular. And the interiors for this are not as spectacular, but all of the covers are beautiful, and they kind of morph and change a little bit as time goes on. And so they change artists and stuff like that. And I've always wanted to read it because, as you know, I love sorcery, fantasy, and all that kind of stuff. And this is truly, truly Dungeons and Dragons-esque kind of stuff. The beginning, I wish this is number 2, and I wish, as I have said so often, I wish they had given us a little blurb about what has come before. I always put that in random access. I always put a what has come before because, like Jim Shooter always said, any comic book could be somebody's first comic. But look at all of this space. He could have put this up here and then had a nice what came before. But I'm gleaning from this that is super Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring inspired, where these adventurers all come together through some reason, and they end up in a dungeon looking for some kind of riches. And it is very classic Dungeons and Dragons characters, much like my own Forlorn. Only this has like their wizard is an evil wizard. They have a warrior, they have a cleric, they've got a paladin, or I don't know if he's the cleric or paladin or whatever. They've got the dwarf, they have the assassin. So they have really specific or archetype Dungeons and Dragons characters, which I love. I mean, like I said, I put that in the Forlorn, so that's part of my my whole thing. That's in my wheelhouse. So obviously, I know I'm going to enjoy it, but am I going to enjoy the story and the art? I think I am. The art, well, as always, we'll go through the story and through the book, and then I'll talk about the writing and the art when we're done. So it's a montage, or it's a splash page of all of the characters, and they've just entered the dungeon, I guess. Like I said, it doesn't have any forward or whatever from what happened, but apparently one of the other adventurers died protecting them. Like I said, this is very Lord of the Rings. Like Gandalf says, "You shall not pass," and he sacrifices himself for the group, and that's kind of what happens here. I think I'm not entirely sure. Anybody who's really into the adventurers, let me know if that's what happened. I would love to hear from anybody that is into the adventures anyway. Let me know what you guys think and what you guys think of the art, because the art for me is a little bit nebulous. Like there's things I love and there's things I'm not crazy about, but like I said, we'll get to that in the end. This page is all of them talking about the character that sacrificed himself so that they could get away. There's going to be several scenes, I think, where somebody has to sacrifice himself for the greater good of the group. But if the greater good of the group is only they're seeking treasure, then that isn't really a huge quest. Like it's not not a very dynamic or compelling quest, because riches only compel you for so much or for so long, and then you've got to give up because it's only riches, it's only wealth. So at a certain point of danger, you're going to give up. It's unlike Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade, where it's the Holy Grail, and yes, it's a treasure, but it's also has a higher meaning. And so if this treasure has some sort of higher meaning, somebody who's into the adventurers, let me know. So they kind of squabble a little bit. There's lots of squabbling in this group because they worship different gods. They have different aspects of their personality, and they're some of them are good, some of them are neutral, some of them are chaotic, some are there's a interspersing kind of way about them. So they're being chased by these when those creatures. I don't know what they're called. It just says the creatures, but they're like orcs, They're like orcs, only they're a little bit more, a little bit different, just to change it up a little bit, I think. So they're being chased by creatures, much like Lord of the Rings, and they're going to be overwhelmed. But somebody has the bright idea of staying, having one or two of the characters stay back and defend where they are, so the rest of the group can make it to safety. And so one of them actually volunteers, and he has somebody else volunteer with him, and it's very odd. I'm not entirely sure, because I don't know any of the characters' names, and other than Tyrion, which I kind of thought of Game of Thrones. Obviously, there's Tyrion, I don't know, Tyrion, and somebody else. I don't know all of their names, but um, maybe if there's a number 4 here that I'm going to review as well, and maybe when I get number 1, I'll have figured out all of their names. But excuse me. So they're going to stay back, and the other ones are going to make it through. Where they're trying to find the treasure and then making it out of the dungeon. It cuts to the bad guy, the super villain, and he looks really cool. I really love the concept art for this. It's like a minotaur, only with like a snapping teeth kind of thing. And I love minotaurs. And I one of my only original art things that I've sold on eBay was actually a minotaur having sex with a centaur, I think. But it is what it is. So it's the bad guy, typical bad guy stuff. He's talking to his minions. The minions are afraid. They can't. There's some sort of barrier. They can't get to the humans, and he pushes them aside, and eventually he smashes the barrier, and he says, "Go kill them." So they're again being chased by these creatures. I can't remember what their names are. They're making their way through, and they're just there's lots of dialogue between them. The dialogue isn't the greatest, but I'll get to that when I'm talking about the writing and the art. The wizard has his light source, and they're just kind of making their way through. And as here's an aside where a spider jumps down and almost kills one of the characters, but it's killed by this warrior or whatever, throwing daggers or knives at the spider, and the spider dies. And they're discussing about the sorcerer is saying that the fighter says, "You're lucky. I was there to save you," and the sorcerer says, "It was not luck. The great Lord Acurus did not see fit to take his loyal servant to his bosom yet." So he worships an evil lord, and it's kind of like I have in my stories. I have Durana, who is the goddess of light and justice and all of that stuff, and it's just like this here, where they have different gods and they worship different gods and stuff like that. So then the assassin is, I think she's tipping her dagger in it, or it's poisonous spider. So she's doing something like that. She's looking at it. So then it goes back to the two that we're going to stay back and kind of prevent the horde of creatures from attacking the group. Here's where I get a little bit confused, because we have I think it's a cleric and some sort of fighter, and he's got some wood, and I think he's going to create a barrier of flame. And as they approach, he has the wizard cleric. I don't know why he can just do fire, but it's kind of cool. He uses his magic to do a fireball, and but he's got all kinds of kindling there. So all of the bad creatures are dying, burning, and this big evil lord is just going crazy. He's so angry, and he just wants to find these humans and kill them. I don't know if these creatures were already in the labyrinth or the dungeon, or if they're from outside the dungeon. I kind of think that they live there, kind of like just like I said, Lord of the Rings. Is it Lord of the Rings? The first one, anyway. So they go further through the cavern, just like Lord of the Rings, and they come across this evil demon, and they're fighting the evil demon, but the evil demon is very powerful, and it can like their blows are just kind of bouncing off of it, and he's just super crazy powerful. And then one of the wizards, I guess it's the good wizard. I think they have a good wizard, a bad wizard, a good wizard, a dark wizard, an assassin, a warrior of some sort, and a cleric, and somebody else, ranger, maybe some sort of ranger. Um, this wizard does something with his light magic and stuff, so he weakens the creature, and or he tries to weaken the creature, but I guess he can't do anything. So the evil demon is going to kill them all, but the evil sorcerer finally decides to intervene, and he's going to use some of his magic, and he casts some sort of weakening spell so that they can finally chop it up, and they finally do. But here's where it gets a little bit confusing. I guess that they started the fire way back here, the cleric and the ranger, I think they were, and then they took off running. It doesn't show them running because they just appear here with the group against this evil demon or something. And so the evil wizard he weakened him or something, and then he tells the cleric. I don't know if this is a cleric because he's shooting fireballs, so maybe he's just some sort of sorcerer. And so he blasts it with some fire magic, and it finally gets killed or whatever. So then the ranger, I think it's the ranger, kind of gives the evil magician his like a good talking to or a good dressing down. He gets angry at him. One of them gets hurt. That's what it is. One of them gets hurt by the demon, and the only one that can save him is this evil wizard. Not entirely sure why isn't there a cleric there? But maybe it isn't a cleric. Maybe it's just a sorcerer of some sort. So there's this evil wizard, and he says he can heal him, but he has to be alone. The Dark Lord words can't be heard by other people, non-believers. That's what he says. So he tells them to look around for the treasure room, and one of them says, here, this black block of ice or whatever, I feel something on this other side. So the dwarf smashes it with his axe, and they come into a chamber where there's massive amounts of loot. And so they just jump into the gold, and they're swimming in gold, and they're trying to decide what to take away with them and, fill their pockets with. And I guess this guy, who I thought was a paladin but is really just a sorcerer, wakes up, and the evil sorcerer is saying his incantation or his pleads to the Lord or whatever. And he says, "Did you hear my words?" And anyway, the dark sorcerer, he says that by raising him or by healing him, the Lord makes him his slave. So anything that he says to do, he has to do. It's the warrior there that got hurt. So it goes back to them, and they're all in the catacombs, and they're all checking all of their treasure and stuff, and they're carrying bags of treasure on the way out of the catacombs. I keep saying catacombs, but it's really just a dungeon. The creatures catch up with them, and they have to run, and one of them has to drop their gold sack so they can carry the warrior, who, even though he was healed by the evil magician, he's still weak and can't walk or whatever. So they have to carry him through the sunlight and to the outer city, where it must be like a city in ruins before the dungeon or whatever. And so they're about to get there, and one of them uses a gem or something. I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, I don't really know. This with the stone of Tribulia, I may be able to save us all. Spirits of the air, by the power of Tribulia, I command you to strike. And then the dungeon kind of collapses, and they all die. Then they go back to the city, and the last page is the assassin was hired by some sort of sorcerer, king, something, to go with the rest of the adventurers and kind of sow discord or something. I'm not entirely sure. Didn't really make a lot of sense to me. But it ends with them thinking that maybe they'll do another deal, and this trader in their midst may something's going to come of that. And then the last page is an Elf Lord advertisement, I think, which is pretty cool. So I like this. I like it a lot. I love sword and sorcery and fantasy. I would say this is definitely fantasy, not sword and sorcery, but they are so razor thin. There's a barrier between them that's razor thin. So if it's dark, it could be considered sword and sorcery. There's magic. I don't know. I go back and forth to what I consider sword and sorcery and what I consider fantasy. I would say if there's other creatures like elves and dwarves and stuff like that, then it's fantasy. So I'm definitely going to say this is fantasy, but it's very close to sword and sorcery in my eyes. The story is really pretty simple. They're in the dungeon. They're running from creatures. They find treasure. There's bad stuff that happens. They make it out of the dungeon. Super simple. But it's compelling. It's enjoyable, and I mean it's classic science fantasy that if you love it, you love it. If you don't love it, you don't love it. It is what it is. But it's done pretty well. I don't love the dialogue. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of dialogue going on, and it's very classic dialogue between like the wizard and the it almost seems like this is a Dungeons and Dragons adventure that they put into comic book format, which is there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just that the dialogue feels a little bit stale. They don't really have a lot of different voices. As you know, I talk a lot about the voice of the character, and they have to have a little bit of a different range. Like if you're evil, you have to talk a little bit different than a sorcerer or a paladin or something like that. That's one of the reasons that the Dungeons and Dragons movie was so great in my estimation, because all of the characters were so distinct and they had so many different voices in their dialogue. And the dialogue here, it just kind of it's a little bit weak, and it's a little bit tropish. Like everybody is so specific and set in their ways that it's you're not going to get a lot of variety. You're not going to get a lot of surprises, and it's just kind of so predictable that it loses a tiny bit of the fun and adventure of it. But at the same time, if you're looking for that, then it makes it even better. I got this knowing what I was going to get, anticipating what I was going to get, and I got it. So I can't really complain. And I do think the writing it's good. It's good. It's not great. It's very specific, and it just doesn't break any barriers. It's very genre specific, and a lot of things just happen, and it's just not any different. But it is pretty good. It's good for what it is, and I'm going to give it a fairly average rating because I just think the dialogue is a little bit average. It's very average. So I'm not going to hurt it overall because of that. But I'm going to talk about the art now. I like the art, but one of the things it has is I enjoy the art overall. I like it. But the narrative art is very good. I never had to go back and reread things. I didn't understand where the two characters were left behind, and then they must have run forward and joined the group. They didn't talk about that. They didn't show it. So I got a little bit confused by that. But that really is the only thing that I got confused about. So the artist is really good. He's got a lot of medium shots. He doesn't have a huge amount of close-ups or establishing shots, but that's kind of okay. He does have a few, and but his panels they're nice and diverse, and they go along. Your eye goes along and reads really well. Some of the faces are a little bit wonky, and there's that is what it is. Some of my faces are wonky. Some of everybody's faces are wonky. No artist is perfect. But like this I'm just not impressed by this face. But I love these faces. So the emotions they've got. They don't have a lot of emotions, but they do have some. I do really like his figures and his anatomy and everything like that. That really is good. He's got really nice backgrounds. I enjoy that. one of the things that I don't know if I love, I do like the fact that there's a wash. There's a different ink wash tones, and I do enjoy that. But sometimes I kind of think that artists use this. Um, Barry Blair, I believe, uses that. Only he uses airbrush um, for the different tones, and I feel like that's a little bit of a crutch sometimes. Like you're going to lose some of the detail that I really kind of would have liked to have seen without any kind of a shadowing effect from the wash. I mean, you look at John Bolton's Call the Conqueror, and that is just amazing, amazing. So when a wash is done to a great effect, it's fantastic. It's one of the greatest things ever. But when it feels like it's covering up a little bit of the weakness in maybe the anatomy or in the facial structure or anything like that, then it kind of becomes a little bit of a distraction. And this book, even though there's poor parts where I think the ink wash is really good and I really love it, there's some where I kind of feel like it's a little bit of a distraction or it's a little bit of a cover up for some of the weakness of the artist. But for the most part, I really do enjoy this artist. I think he's really good. And I didn't look up what he's done before. This is a new artist from the first one, so I don't know what the first book looks like, the artist. But the action scenes are really good, really enjoyable. Some of the action is a little bit hard to understand, so I would like to see some of the beginning and follow through of the action. Like when somebody just jumps, I would like to see, a crouch and then a jump and then a follow through and then a resolution. So, I'd like to see all those things, not just the jump or the swing or whatever, or the pose. Like there's the pose and then here's the action and here's the resolution. I would like to see maybe him shooting his arms out and making the action. But other than that, I really do enjoy this artist, and I think there's so much going on, so many characters, and the backgrounds you could just easily have no backgrounds, but there's also really fantastic places where he does this awesome dungeony backgrounds or cavern backgrounds, which really brings the book to life. So I really do enjoy it. I wish this page. But this is just a little nitpicking thing. I wish this was some sort of back page and they had, numbered the pages or done the pages in a particular order so they could have had something on the back like coming next issue or something else from Aircell or something like that. I think that would be a little bit better than continuing the story on the back page. I did that in volume 1 of Random Access, and so, somebody called me out on it, and I 100% agreed with them. And pretty much as soon as they said it, I switched gears and I was like, you know what? I'm going to add a page, or I'm going to add a 4 pages so I can put a full story in so I don't have to use this back page as part of the story. I really feel like that's a little bit of a distraction from the story. But other than that, I would say, giving this a grade, I would say I will buy more. I will buy more. I will always buy Adventurers if I see them in the dollar bin. I'm not going to, so that's a 7 automatically, as you guys know. I would not, I'm not going to buy the Adventurers #1 for $8. So that knocks it down a little bit in my mind. I love the covers. The covers are fantastic. Covers are beautiful. I do love the interior art. I do like the story, but it gets knocked down 1 or 2. I'm going to give this an 8. I'm going to give this an 8 because I really enjoyed the art and the story enough and the writing enough to knock it up. And I'm always going to grab another one. The genre helps. It's my own specific thing. If you're not into fantasy or sword and sorcery or something like that, then I would say this is probably maybe a 6 or a 7 for you. But if you love sword and sorcery and fantasy, then this is probably either an 8 or 9 for you. For me, it's an 8. Simply because this story is so simple. There's nothing different about it. I once heard a quote by Noah Wiley, I think, is that his name? Noah Hawley. When he was talking about Fargo season 2, and there's aliens, and there's a spaceship. There's an alien spaceship, and anybody that's seen that show, which I wholeheartedly recommend. It is one of the greatest TV seasons of all time, in my estimation. I love all of it, the characters, the writing, everything. Everything is fantastic. The story, it's just not. It's one of my favorite seasons of a TV show ever. But anyway, Noah Hawley was talking about Fargo and how there's weird stuff in the movie, or there's weird stuff in all of the not the Farrelly brothers, the Coen brothers. The Coen brothers did the original movie, and they always have weird stuff that happens. And Noah Hawley was saying that when you have a traditional story, life isn't traditional. There's always weird things that are happening, and surprises are, they're the greatest things in a story. So maybe I'm going to try to take that into account in my storytelling, and kind of put something like that in some of my stories, just to throw people for a loop. That's what it is. It's throwing people for a loop. It's crazy. It's out there, and you're like, I have no idea what to make of this. It's just bizarre. But I'm going to give the Adventurers an 8. I could go higher simply because of the cover. The cover is so great. But there's some things that I think they fall short on. But it's a great book. I love it, and anybody that loves fantasy science fiction is going to love it too. If you're new to the channel, this is basically exactly the kind of stuff that I do. I review books from the 70s, 80s, 90s, really anything that's unusual or different. But I like to focus on indie comics from those eras because not a lot of people are looking at this kind of stuff, and there's a lot of fans that really enjoy this kind of stuff. Let me know what you guys think. If you're new to the channel, like I said, this is the kind of stuff that I review. But if you're new, please consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell, giving me a thumbs up. I really love that. And but more importantly than all of that stuff, I love comments. I love talking about comic books. And if you love the Adventurers, if you loved these kind of comics, let me know. I really like to talk about what's going on and stuff like that, and everything like that. So it's a Monday, and we have a whole bunch of cool stuff going on. I'm going to be putting more and more videos out. I think I'm going to put an extra video out either tomorrow or and Thursday because I'm getting really close to that watch hours that I have to meet to get members. And once I get members, I'm going to offer memberships. Anyone that gets a YouTube membership with me is going to get the random access comic book. So I really am looking forward to that. And so if you guys want to help me out and you've waited this long through the video, if you want to watch more hours of these videos, all of my videos, I truly 100% appreciate it. And that will get me one step closer to beginning getting memberships, which I'm really looking forward to. So thanks for watching. And as always, keep on creating.